This is my superpower. I think I can easily make a difference. They need to like you. If they like you, they'll trust you. And if they trust you, they'll give you their business. So as a salesperson, if you've got the ability to tap into people's emotions, then you're a winner. That's what I think separates from an average salesperson to an absolute legendary one. Every word has a meaning behind it, has a reason behind it, because we need to create impact. Don't believe a word of what I'm saying. Let me show it to you. You know, a lot of people who get desperate for sales, they keep saying yes to a lot of stuff without having any idea what's going to happen. They give up too soon.
Hello, today I'm joined by Steven Khanna. Steven is the head of English markets at WhitePress, which is a link building platform. More importantly, Steven is likely the best SEO salesperson in the industry. So Steven, welcome.
Thank you very much, mate. Honored to be here. Hope you're well.
Yeah, doing great. All right, so first, I know your story quite well because we go pretty far back, but why don't you tell us about your story and your journey to SEO?
Yeah, quite an interesting one. I still call myself like an SEO novice. You know, I've only been in the industry 2.5 years, which has just been with this one agency or marketplace called WhitePress. Been in sales pretty much all my life, where there was times spent back in the UK doing restaurants and wines, and then transitioning into weirdly teaching English, and then going to selling wines again. Now I live in Poland. That's where life's taken me. But my current boss, Tom, was the head of international growth, ended up meeting me at one of our expat Friday piss-ups, really. It's called a language exchange, but let's be honest, it's just a piss-up. Mm-hmm. He kind of started talking about links. Didn't make any fucking sense to me because it was all black magic. Paid link building is considered black hat, so black magic kind of ties in with that. Yeah. Got my kind of curiosity going. Took me a while to make up my mind. And here we are 2.5 years later. You know, I'm sitting on a podcast with you. A lot of the SEO experts kind of are mates of mine. Very quickly, I figured out that a lot of SEOs struggle with sales or kind of talking to people. And that's where I was like, hang on a second, this is my superpower. I think I can easily make a difference. And here I am, man. Yeah, still enjoying it.
It's awesome. I think you've been public with your numbers, right? I want to make sure if I ask you your sales numbers, it's not like it's something you're comfortable sharing. So if you don't mind, what was the sales goal you hit last year? And what are you on target for this year?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk English markets specific because that's the thing I'll lead. And I'll give you like a one-liner historical data to it. So 2.5 years ago when we started, we had one local client who was ordering, 5,000 pounds worth of campaign, maybe once every 3 months. Mm-hmm. Now, active clients, I've got over 120. If I take an average within the last 2.5 years of my MRR from literally zero to, if I had to put a number, the highest I've done is 500,000 for 6 months consistently. And currently I average 340, 400,000 pounds MRR just doing guest postings and niche edits.
That's amazing. Do you still have that first client?
Still have the first client.
Nice. That's amazing. That's a long time to keep a single client on as well.
Correct. You know, with link building, it all depends at what stage have we actually grabbed them as a client. You know, we obviously our churn rate within the guest posting and niche edits industry could be very high compared to any other sector out there. You probably know there are many reasons in terms of how many links they've built already, and then they're just going up after the top tier ones, which could be really hard, and they still want to follow to it, not to be tagged as sponsored and all of that. Clearly, I can't create websites. I mean, I can create websites. That's another business model then. So yeah, we were lucky that we got them when they were launching in the UK and US market properly, where they had done pretty much zero link building, and they wanted someone trustworthy rather than just going on Fiverr or any other marketplace, where they wanted relevance, they wanted quality, but also speed of delivery. And that's why WhitePress turned out really well. Clearly 24/7 account management was something they couldn't be more happier with. And that's how I was the first 6 months, to be honest. Eat, sleep, repeat numbers, 3:30, 4 a.m. when my mobile used to buzz, because a lot of them are still on my WhatsApp. No matter how deep the sleep was, I used to always wake up and respond.
That's brutal. All right, you said most SEOs suck at sales. That's definitely true. There's like a handful that you see out there everywhere, and then there's everyone else that are trying to figure out their sales strategy. So how did you guys grow, or how did you grow WhitePress? What were your main strategies?
Yeah, but to be honest, because I was still very new in SEO. I just wanted to test the traditional outbound models because we weren't really having any inbound leads coming from our marketing campaigns. Because clearly, primarily WordPress is a Polish company. That's where I am. That's where the head office is. And then having ground reality of how our marketing campaigns should be run with the cultural nuances to be taken care of in the US and UK. No one had an idea. So I said, fuck it, let's just pick up the phone. Let's attack people through Apollo, Hunter, LinkedIn voice notes, Facebook, whatever, a chimney, a window, go in wherever you could. And for me, it was very simple. I kept it simple. It was all about volume. That's how the leads funnel worked for me. If I did about 60 to 80 cold contacts every day, religiously for the next 6 months, I knew the conversion rate, even if it was 3-4%, I'll have enough converting leads in order to kickstart the market. And then the strategy kind of pivoted where, because my clients were so happy, and I figured out very quickly that the guest posting and niche edit industry is such abused sector where trust literally does not exist. I said, listen, I don't need to be the king if I'm just, I don't need to be the emperor if I'm just a one-eyed king displaying certain amount of trust. People will be really happy giving the business to me. And then very quickly, I pivoted back onto my mantra I've had for a number of years. Sales is all about art to start with, but that art is quite, it's a blank canvas, and you need to be with a brush where the ideology is, they need to like you. If they like you, they'll trust you. And if they trust you, they'll give you their business. So really end up becoming friends. But then a lot of people, who are very introverted, and even though the SEO guys out there are amazingly intelligent and clever, I stand nowhere near them. But one thing they clearly lack on is that human touch. And I think that's probably I bought in from my days in restaurants. Because in restaurants, you can't be introverted. It's a show out there. Right. When the doors open at 11:45 or 12 p.m. for lunch up until 2:30, you literally, all your clients there are your audience, and you there performing, cracking jokes, doing your upsells, making sure that extra coffee or the extra Irish coffee or the extra dessert, everything goes. And I was quite surprised when I started implementing certain strategies from the restaurant world into SEO. A lot of people never had that deep-rooted thinking of, right, how many touch points it's taking to close a lead. Of all our campaigns, how much value is per lead? The churn rates were pretty much diluted. Okay, how much is an average client spending with us? And for me, it was direct correlation to our restaurant, because every chair in a restaurant has got a value. And in order to hit your monthly, weekly, daily numbers, there's something what we call as average spend per person, which is per chair. That includes a combination of one cocktail, a bottle of water between two people, a glass of wine, a starter, possibly 2 starters to share, a main course, and then perhaps a dessert to share between two. So that was kind of the blueprint where we had to follow in order to achieve whatever 90 quid, 110 quid per person, per seat in a restaurant. And that's exactly what I then started doing once I started having enough sales or clients coming over to me, in order to then stop running after the 500 and £1,000 clients, because it's not valuable, because they've got a death wish, because they clearly lack the knowledge of how link building should be done. They've probably listened to whichever fuck all expert out there who's probably said links from Fiverr are great. Clearly they know, with all due respect to Fiverr brand, who I've actually done some business with in the past. Sorry, Jonathan. But I started then picking and choosing my clients as well. So it's long story short, it was a long process, mate. The idea was to be on the ball all the time, see how the industry trends are changing, have 12, 15 different strategies in place, whether it's email templates, voice notes, sales scripts, how the demos have to be done, how someone's reacting to certain words we're saying on a discovery call, and if they answer in a specific manner, what kind of answer you should be doing, yet being very genuine about it. Because there's one thing closing a deal, but you still have to deliver, because it's a sector where there's an all lot of trust. Your reputation could fall very quickly. So we still had to deliver, but we were confident the service and the product we had on the market was not comparable to anything out there. And then when you add this fantastic account management to it, and customer service or after sales service kind of thing, people just fell in love. And now the last 6 months, mate, to be honest, I've not made a single cold call. It's just referrals. Every time, every conference I go to, end up making new friends. And we all do links. If you've got an online business, you pretty much should be doing some sort of link building. And when that opportunity comes, these people just send that lead my way. So yeah, happy days.
Okay, so let's go back to the outbound strategy. I think every mastermind group I've been a part of, there's someone will bring up outbound email. So usually it's someone asking about it, or occasionally someone saying like, oh, we're actually doing it. And everyone else freezes. And they're like, what? You're doing outbound email, cold outreach? So I think this is a space that like most agencies don't understand, or maybe even don't think is feasible for sales. What is the strategy there for outbound for link building?
Yeah, it's a simple logic, mate. Of course, it needs to be quantity when you're doing it. But with quantity, I'm not saying plugging in some stupid AI module there and then blasting out millions of emails. It needs to be personalized. So this is how I used to do it. So through Sales Navigator, and I still have Apollo plugged in, I apply the certain filters, I curate a list, and Sales Navigator might come back in London SEO agencies, SEO directors, or SEO consultants as the decision makers. I get a leads list of, 120. I make sure then every lead, I literally stalk them on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and I try and find a common point to it. Because you know how people are. They're very happy talking about their company culture on their website. Where Nick Briggs' face will be there. Nick is an avid tennis fan. His favorite player is Roger Federer. Blah, blah, blah. That's brilliant for sales guys like us. Because the more info you give about yourself, the more stories and common points I'm going to create. And there were a lot of times where I was sending out emails, being a cricket fan myself, saying from one cricket lover to another, by the way, Jimmy Anderson last week in the Lord's Cricket Ground was phenomenal. His late outswinger to Brendan McCullum from New Zealand was just amazing. And that kind of kickstarts a bit of a relation, because I can clearly see them having half a smile, a bit of a chuckle to it. But I think where people fail is it's deep-rooted in the mindset. People are thinking, I'm going to send out one email and I'm going to close that business. But even though no matter what they say in front of other people, they say, no, we know, of course it's going to take time. I can guarantee you the amount of conversations I've had with other business owners who struggle in scaling up their agencies, they don't believe in it. They're literally reading stuff off Google, off internet. The idea is you send an email to generate interest for them to give you a one-line reply. That's touch one.
Okay. And then email is always your first touch point, or social sometimes?
We actually do 3 approaches. So we first try and call someone 100%. So everything I said about after the list's been created, and we find commonalities, or something which is interesting to both ends, like tennis, cricket, could be anything, mate. Could be about Google updates. So we do the calls. 9 out of 10 times we run into gatekeepers. You still, and I'll come to the gatekeeper bit in a bit. We speak to the gatekeeper. We then fire out an email, but that email is highly personalized. With a line there that just had a chat with the lovely Cheryl there. She's doing a great job. She's asked me to contact you, and apparently next Thursday at 10 a.m. you've got some space in your diary to know a little bit more about WordPress. Sometimes it's not entirely the truth, but then when was sales all 100% truthful? What I'm trying to do is generate interest, to be honest. So they come back and say, and I'm not expecting 10 out of 10 people giving me that response. Even if 3 come back to me and said, okay, mate, yeah, I've heard about it. Fair enough. Let's do it. Because end of the day, my entire strategy is based on what numbers I need to deliver, MRR, or by the end of the year. Because if you don't have the end goal firmly embedded in your mentality, then your approach is just a bit clouded. Because why are you doing this, a certain approach, sending one email? Because all needs to tie back to your KPIs. And I think a lot of SEO agency owners, and I do sometimes sales courses, I go on AMA calls and all with people, and I ask them, okay, where are you trying to be by the end of this year? What was your revenue and profitability last year? Where are you trying to be this year? And I'm gobsmacked, mate. Sometimes the answers I get are, yeah, if I can get 15% growth year on year, maybe it'll be okay, but ideally it should be 27. I was like, mate, clearly you got no fucking plan in place, where November of last year, that plan should be ready for year 2024, 2025. Because everything else which happens after that, the kind of people you hire or fire, the tweaking of your sales templates, your calling scripts, what kind of leads are you going to go after? Which sector has the most opportunity at this stage? What are the social media trends you can tap into to try and identify, right, where more we can amplify or have a separate revenue arm. There's too much in-depth thinking which needs to go into it. Unfortunately, people don't think, which again inherently comes back to people think if they've got fantastic SEO knowledge, somehow Google will recommend them to the clients and inbound leads would keep coming in. Mate, you go on Fiverr, no offense to
you're just flying under the bus twice.
Correct. Where you name it, every link building expert is also an SEO expert. I mean, calling yourself an SEO expert is so easy, you know. So that's why you need to be a businessman first and an SEO later. And that's why I have lots of respect for people like yourselves, Chris, James Dooley, Carl Hudson, Matt Singers. They never claim to be that they're SEOs. They say they're a businessman first. They spotted an opportunity and they've gone into SEO. And this is exactly how I am. Will I stay in SEO for the rest of my life? Probably not. Will I be just doing guest posting and niche edits in 3 years' time? I don't think so, considering all the updates which have happened anyways. But for the moment, I see there's a possibility. There's a possibility to scale up really quickly, which we're doing. All the strategy work. Once they stop working and I lose complete hope in it, links won't matter at all. I'll start doing something else.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. So it's always a cold call first, and then follow up with an email. Then what? Let's say they respond. Obviously, you're trying to get them on a call, right?
No, so I do call, email, and then I drop a LinkedIn message. But there are two ways of doing it. Now, if they're already connected to you, it's quite easy. I never write a message. And you probably, Nick, know me very well for that. I hardly write a message. I don't type a message. I always leave a voice note.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer, especially when it's a cold contact. The easiest thing to do is to speak to a potential lead face-to-face. Well, clearly we can't do that sitting a million miles away. What's the next best thing? For someone to understand your emotions and for someone to feel that you're a genuine bloke. Leave a voice note. Record a video and send it. Ferry Kashoni, and I quote this a lot, Ferry Kashoni's example is the perfect one. I was 2 months into my job. On a Sunday, I had no bloody idea who the fuck is Ferry Kashoni because I was randomly just hunting for leads. Ferry Kashoni pops up on my LinkedIn feed. I was like, oh, this guy looks like he might give me some money. I left a comment on one of his posts. 24 hours later, I sent him a connection request with the hope that, let's see if he fucking accepts it. He accepted. I dropped a voice note to him. That was my first contact. He straight away started responding. And 3 months ago in Saigon, in Matt Singer's conference, he's standing with Jason Hennessy and he said, Jason, the only reason I responded to Steve's cold message was he sent me a voice note. A lot of people don't do that. And he sounded genuine. And the only way I could have realized that this bloke's a genuine one is through the voice, the tonality. It is one of those things because I'm sure you've heard this, especially in the corporate culture. You sometimes sit wondering, hang on a second, I'm fucking delivering all these KPIs, but my boss never seems to like you. And then someone passes by with a comment, maybe he just doesn't like your face. You've heard that quite a bit, innit? It's partially true, even though it's a joke. And I think the same thing applies to when you're actually leaving a voice note. Some people would just get attracted to how you talk. And if you're engaging, you've got that energy, you've got that vibe, you feel that connection, you just literally tempted to respond to it. Because at the end of the day, take the SEO titles away, all that money away. We're all human beings. We're all emotional animals. So as a salesperson, if you've got the ability to tap into people's emotions, then you're a winner. That's what I think separates from an average salesperson to an absolute legendary one.
I can count on one hand the number of voice messages I get. I mean, I get probably 10 pitches a day, but voice messages only from friends. So I can see why that would be intriguing. But what do you actually say in that voice message? Is it trying to get them on the call? Is it just like a happy to connect?
Yeah. So now that you put me on the spot, let's deliver. If I had never spoken to you, yet I knew who Nick is, which is digital PR and all of that. We do a little bit of digital PR, but not a lot. So my voice note would be probably 30 seconds longer. And I would have simply said, Nick, listen to one of your recent podcasts with Ryan Stewart. I'm also a big fan of Ryan Stewart. And I know you're a legend in digital PR. I pretty much can guarantee that in the next conference, when we run into each other, you'll see how WhitePress can also have a synergy within your business. Let's grab a G&T. We'll enjoy the gin and tonic and we'll talk business later. How does that sound? And I've just literally thought of that on the spot. It could be curated in a better way if I really give it a thought. But, something along those lines, which is a bit personalized, is a bit matey, generates some sort of a chuckle or an emotion where, you know what, even though he's trying to sell me something, seems like a genuine, fun guy. I can still have a chat with him.
What if you don't know anything about this person? I mean, you do your research, but you're not going to run into it at a conference. They're a little more, suit and tie kind of person. What's your message like then? I can definitely see. I would respond to you if you wanted to buy me a gin and tonic at a conference.
No, but are you saying now if someone's in a suit and tie in a conference?
Sorry. The person you're going to reach out to, let's say they're not like the SEO conference type. They're in a different industry. They're where maybe you don't have that sort of relationship point of like we both go to conferences. We're both in the SEO space. They're more like they work in an office. You're unlikely to run into them.
Okay, so then I'm gonna oblige them, and I'm gonna use all the superpowers I've got in my closet in WordPress. We obviously go to a lot of conferences, and some of these hard nuts to crack, I just offer them a free ticket. Listen, we're off to the conference this year. Would you be around that area? Happy to offer a free ticket to you, because certain white hat SEO experts are the ones we want to build a relationship with. And if you've got half a day to spare, be my guest. Let me take you out for lunch anyways, but here's a free ticket to start with. Now, who doesn't want a freebie? Especially if it's within the SEO industry. Now, if I didn't have that option with me, what would I come up with? I don't know, because a lot of times I also think on my feet, which again comes back to how we used to do stuff in restaurants, because there were so many different situations come in in a 12-hour shift in a restaurant. You had to be so creative without giving away that you fucking got no idea how you're going to pull that off or what you're going to say. You had to come up with a logical, sensible answer. So basically what I said now is based on experience. When I knew I don't really feel anything from that guy, or he might not be open for a chit chat or is not an extrovert, I'll throw in the free ticket bit.
Okay, so no template, and that sort of forces you to be a little more creative to see what angle you could take. Okay, that's nice.
Correct.
All right. So your strategy is the cold call, then you follow up with the email, then connect on LinkedIn. Let's say if the person does respond, the idea is to get on a call. Is that right?
Correct. 20-minute discovery call.
Okay.
Where, the first 3-4 minutes are extremely lighthearted. Anything to do with getting fucking pissed drunk over the weekend. Not just the standard weather shit, but could be anything, mate. Could be just that. I firmly believe, whichever genius said, that the first 7 or 11 seconds is where someone creates that first impression of you. Okay. So come in, go in, fucking beaming smile, dress your best, wear the most brightest shirt possible you can. And the moment you jump on the call, you fucking start cracking jokes. That just breaks, breaking the ice. It's very cliche. Everyone says, you should be able to break the ice. I'm sorry, that used to happen in the 80s when you kicked off a call talking about fucking weather. It's not unique anymore because everyone's talking about the weather. So how are you unique? That's not breaking the ice. That's making sure the fucking ice goes back 20 blocks further up.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant by people not following trends and patterns. You've got to be, yes, consistent with certain trends, but then that's where your uniqueness and your ability to be different at certain strategic points at the right moments is where you leave a memorable impression. Right things done at the right time. I'm a firm believer of that. You do the correct thing at the wrong time, not a chance. I apply that a lot in my work, managing my boss. Sometimes when I want to get sign-offs, I pick my days and I pick my times.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so you try and stand out. You're not doing what everyone else is doing. It kind of sets them at ease. They start to think, I like this guy. Then how do you transition that into the discovery part, and what kind of questions, what are you asking on the discovery call?
Yeah, so once they are on the discovery call, I don't want them pretty sure they know what guest posting, niche edit, what link building is all about. Mm-hmm. It's very quick, 2-second capsule version of what WordPress is, what services we offer. I quickly throw in certain big client names we service, and I don't have an NDA signed with them, so I can openly say their names. That kind of generates trust. But the idea is that every word I'm speaking and I'm throwing at them has a meaning behind it, has a reason behind it, because we need to create impact. So, and then it becomes second nature. Then you ask follow-up questions. How much link building you've done, what landing page, which geographical location you're looking to target, yada, 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 very quickly. And I need to ask this on the first call. And a lot of people say, I'm not sure if that's a good idea, if I can do it. And no one minds at all. I ask them, how much have they been spending? What's their budget for links? And I quickly pair that with the more I know about your budget, the better links I can provide you. And of course, we can always negotiate at the end of the month, at the end of the campaign, how we want to do it. So I've got all those, the information with me. Then the next 48 hours, we very quickly curate a list for them based on all the knowledge we've got, which is SEO matrix, niche relevance, link velocity, the budgets, all of that. We send a list out to them. And then while I've sent the list out to them, I say, go through the list, let your team do it. How does next Wednesday at 10 a.m. sound for a follow-up call? And that's another mistake a lot of salespeople do, is they send the list out and the last message is, let me know your thoughts. Those thoughts could fucking flow in 2027. There's a timeline for every lead. So I'm already inserting the question, how does next Wednesday at 10 a.m. ?
So you're doing that on the call, when you're on the call, or is this the follow-up email?
The follow-up email when I'm sending the list out, because then it's relevant. We worked hard. We've sent you the list. They should also feel a little bit of responsibility and respect towards the time we've put in, where we're not charging a single penny for that. So, help me help you kind of thing, if you really want to kick things off. And 6, 7 out of 10 times they come back and say yes, or they say, okay, maybe not Wednesday at 10, Thursday at 1 p.m. So it's all locked in. It's all progressive, because I know in order to close a lead, at least with WordPress, it takes anything between 5 to 7 touch points. Now, I can't split those 5 to 7 touch points in a 6-month period. That is just lazy salesmanship. And I've had people I've unfortunately sacked in the past. They've kept fucking talking about that one lead for 6 months. I was like, mate, one lead for 6 months is like eating the same shitty food, crumb by crumb, out of the same fucking shelf or dilapidated house you fucking live in. It blows my mind. So what I believe, every lead, yes or no, deal won or deal lost, you should have an answer within 3 weeks' time, max. And 3 weeks is also too long. Ideally, we try and get that done within 10 working days. We know happy days, everything's gone. Kickstart something, baby steps. And again, I say that a lot during my discovery call, certain words I use, which are true, because I tell them what KPIs, what things we can deliver. But right at the end, I say, listen, guys, don't believe a word of what I'm saying. Let me show it to you. You say you have 30 grand worth of links to build every month. Do not give me 30 grand. Let's take baby steps. Give me 5 grand for the first month. Let me see what I can deliver. And once I've given 5 grand, let's increase it in month 2 to 10 grand. And that's enough of a working period for you to judge if I'm a good partner or not. And then we can talk numbers. If you want to give me 30 grand, how many links can I deliver? What are going to be the payment terms? The more you spend, the better total conditions I'm going to give it to you. Now, I'm not saying I'm taking the pressure off me, but I'm being very open about it and not being a yes man. A lot of people who get desperate for sales would also make that mistake. They keep saying yes to a lot of stuff without having fucking any idea what's going to happen, because in the past, plenty of link builders, I deal with a lot of them in my inbox when they fucking slip through. And every once in a while, I make that mistake of, maybe I can trust this guy. And of course, within the next 36 hours, they fucking do happen to disappoint me, because they've got fucking no idea what I'm talking about, what they need to do. So I'm very mindful of the fact that I manage expectations right from the beginning, but I always try and over-deliver. Under-promise, over-deliver. It's a standard a lot of business owners try to follow, but people don't do it effectively or consistently enough.
I think that's a good approach. Like, test me out on a small portion of your budget, prove yourself, and then try and increase it. I think a lot of agencies are like, here's our service, here's our price, it's really expensive. Having a cheaper way to test it out, low pressure, that's a good strategy.
Exactly right, because you're telling someone to give your entire budget and the bloke doesn't even know you. Unless even when referrals come to me, a lot of leads come to me from my mates in the SEO industry, I follow the same physiology, because for me it's even more important. Someone's reputation who recommended me is on the line. So I need to be ultra careful that I'm being quite honest and normal about it. And if we can't work together, happy days. The least I can do is at least make a friend, get them to remember me, and maybe certain part of the inventory which was not relevant for Nick might be relevant for Nick's mate Jonathan. And if I've left a lasting impression, 6 months down the line, Nick might say, you know what, speak to Steve from White Press. He might be able to help. And it's happened so many times where I just haven't been able to close the deal, lack of inventory, budget constraints, whatever. But we've just had a really healthy, nice conversation. And 3 months, 6 months down the line, that same gentleman or lady has come back to me and recommended people.
Yeah, and that's how it works. Not everyone's ready to move right now. They might be ready to move in the future. All right, so you said 7 touch points. Let's say you have someone, they said, yeah, we'll test it out. Are all the follow-ups, and they're not following through, all the follow-ups from on your side, are they email? Are you reaching on social? How are the 7 touch points?
So my second follow-up, I make it a point, because then I've got a bit of a bantery, friendly relation. And then I say, listen, if you don't mind, if you're on Skype or on WhatsApp, let me just do it that way. Much easier, quicker to connect. 8 out of 10 times people have easily given me their telephone number,
Okay.
We speak on WhatsApp all the time, and it's not just you or Chris, pretty much the entire SEO industry.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients are on WhatsApp. We're dropping voice notes to each other, and they also like that speed of communication. Email's a lot more formal up until the first 2 touch points. After that, it's just find a quicker way of communicating. I've got certain clients on Telegram, certain clients are on WhatsApp, certain clients are on Skype. Some are just Facebook friends, and I'm dropping voice notes there. Or I try and ask them this. Listen, which communication channel are you most active on? There are some certain people on Google Chat as well. So whatever's quicker moves the needle a lot faster. We do that.
Okay, so rather than repeatedly emailing them, if they're not moving forward, you would say, hey, let's find a better way to communicate, and then try and push it to that. Okay, makes sense, because I think everyone gets just bombarded in their email, and everyone's asking for something in their email. So
correct. Emails only then come into picture when month-end reports, key deliverables, or there's a certain issue which is too long because I can't be leaving 5-minute voice notes. So then I have to write an email out and explain it, and then follow it up with another voice note, which is 5 seconds long. Nick, just have a look at your inbox, mate. Quite an important email. Let me know. And then follow up on that in another 48 hours to see if they've had the chance. It all comes down to follow-ups. A lot of managers, business managers across various sectors say, to be a successful leader, your follow-up skills have to be extremely strong. That's another thing people don't do. They do not follow religiously their leads. They give up too soon. I like to call it the TikTok culture. Snowflakes, fucking giving up too soon. Mm-hmm. Unless literally someone's ghosted me for 3 months or have actually factually told me to fuck off. To be honest, and I think I do want to touch on this, the phrase of or the experience of someone telling you to fuck off. I think that initiates fear in a lot of people's mind, which then stops them to do outbound quite aggressively, because they're very scared if someone's going to say fuck off to you. In my few years of sales, SEO, and then wines and restaurant, I can probably remember one person who actually said to fuck off. One.
That's not bad.
And I've probably done, at my peak, which was then wines, and that was a lot of cold calling. I probably went over 500,000 sales calls or cold calls in a space of 8 months, 10 months.
That's I can't.
It was literally the phone used to be in my hand all the time. So I think people get scared, and even if someone's telling you to fuck off, it's a reason to chuckle. Yesterday, one of my outreach assistants, poor girl, she was on an email called a link whore, or an email. She was chasing him to get guest posting terms and conditions. I'm not going to take the bloke's name or the website's name, but the bloke's exact response was, people like you are the scum of the internet. You are nothing more than a link whore.
Oh, jeez. And
we were all laughing out loud in the office, and the jokes were still continuing in the morning.
Yeah, you have to have fun with it. That's just the way to deal with it, right? All right. One time, I think you told me that you keep following up until you either get a yes or a no. So I think most people's follow-up is like, hey, just bumping this back to the top of your email. How do you keep following up if someone's not responding? You're on message 3 or 4. What are you saying that's different in these follow-ups?
Yeah, I get to the point very quickly, to be honest. I'm a firm believer. No, okay, let me try and say it the way I changed my approach as and when my business grew. Now, if we're struggling for sales, then clearly my phraseology and my emotions in an email would be a lot more patient, I'll be honest. Before I really start demanding stuff, and I'll tell you the exact wordings I'm going to use, will probably be a month later compared to how I might follow up with a client now. But when it gets to a point where after the third or the fourth email, someone's not responded at all, not doing it, the email's quite simple. You might have been busy, but this is my fourth follow-up. Completely understand, mate. If you think this is not a good time to work with at this stage, not a problem. I still want to have a chat with you once we meet you here and there, whichever conference, if I run into you. Please let me know so I stop annoying you or I stop being a pest. I kind of abuse myself on that email. It still gets about 50-60% of response rate when I kind of word it that way. This is just one of the options, so I can stop being a pest, agony aunt, whatever, still add a bit of humor to the email. We've got certain kind of magic words in our armory, which we use on a third and a fourth follow-up email, which we've created. These are kind of 12 half sentences, which are partially humorous, partially sarcastic, but the idea is to kind of poke with real intent in their emotions to initiate a response. And then usually they come back. It does fall flat sometimes, I'll be honest. I did lose kind of a big deal doing exactly the same 8 months ago after Chiang Mai, where we were supposed to close a deal, and whatever happened, I was probably a bit too aggressive trying to get a response from him, and he actually got annoyed. Still have to get back to him, though I'm not going to name names here. But I think it's gone cold enough for me to re-engage the conversation with a bit of humor. But I'll let you know. And if I happen to be on your podcast 2 months, 3 months down the line again, we might pick up on that, follow up on that. That's Steve, what happened with that lead? Because it did actually started bothering me recently. Like, I need to get back to that gentleman.
Okay, so you've said, like, you've talked about how much personalization you put into this. We've also talked about outreach at scale. How do you do both? How are you reaching out to that many people and being, personalizing the outreach?
So yes, we can use automation to create templates to then, of course, add your personality to it. What I'm going to say now is slightly controversial, but it's true. A salesman never sleeps, unfortunately. Now, if someone's thinking I want to put in my, not 8 hours, 7.5 hours, because a lot of people say half an hour is for my lunch, then just go and fucking be an accountant. Or stand on the fucking factory line packing whatever, hair dryers or whatever. If you're a salesman, you are always working all the time. 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm sorry, I did not create those rules. This is what it is. That's how the world works. There's another sales coach I follow a lot. British Arabic. His name's Darish Saudi. This bloke, when he was doing door-to-door sales jobs, every salesman was not working on a Saturday and Sunday or when it was raining. But those are exactly the times when Darish was out on the street. Because when people opened the door, people had a soft spot. Oh, bless you, mate. You're still working. Come in, have a cup of coffee, dry yourself off, whatever. You used to get responses like that. Plus, there was no competition because no one else was out there, So if you need to be successful in sales, the first 6 months is where you need to put the hours. Now, if I happen to go somewhere else and start working somewhere else, my first 6 months would be my make or break. There are months now in the middle of the month when my KPIs are done or my team's KPIs are done. I'm walking around in the office with a beer in my hand. My boss hopes, listen, the business is there to make money. I'm getting majority of that money for you. So I can get away with shit. Therefore, to answer that question, mate, you got to put in the hours. You got to be ready for that slog. But if you haven't been successful the first 6 to 8 months, then either the product or the service you're selling needs tweaking, or you need fresh faces to come in order to pick up the pieces for sales. Because if you've put in the right effort and the product and the service is strong, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be successful.
But just to be clear, you're saying you should be sending a lot of emails, but you should be personalizing them. You shouldn't be using templates, right?
Not at all. A lot of people do those email blasting of templates and all of that. We know it. After 3 seconds, we know it.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. So let's take the typical SEO marketing agency that doesn't have salespeople. The founder is doing it himself. How you would say you'd be better off to set aside some time to do this, pick out your prospects, really focus on that list probably, and then personalize the email. So whatever time you do devote to this, make sure it's personalized emails, not just a big list that you're blasting out.
Correct. That is correct. And quite recently, I've coined a phrase of my own, again, for my restaurant clients. I call it the Big Mac theory.
Okay.
Like every quarter, if you create several Big Macs, so your top bun and your bottom bun are your two biggest clients, and everything in between are your $2,000 a month, your $3,000 a month, £1,000 a month. And if you're replicating your Big Macs 5, 6, 7 every quarter based on what is your annual target, happy days. So break it down into simpler terms, bring up analogies in your head, which talks to you. For me, it's restaurants. So I always, do food or drink, like from grape juice to link juice, for example, from the times of my wine. Yeah. Someone could be from another sector. Anything which speaks to you, gets the fire going in your belly, makes you start thinking creatively. For sales, it's very simple, mate. If you've lost the love in your product, in your service, in sales, do not spend an extra minute in it. Just fucking change the job. Sales is all about perseverance, about having a big heart, yet rolling with the punches sometimes, And then right at the end of the day, when you've all got slaps, fuck-offs, and no interest, the last 3 calls would be that sunshine, that silver lining, which will, oh, fuck, yeah, let's do it again. Let's go tomorrow. But if you're not putting in the hours, you're not putting in the effort, that's a car crash waiting.
Got it. All right, I'll make this my last question because I feel like I've gotten a lot of great info out of you. Let's take an SEO agency that they're like a full service agency, because I think it's easier, it's not easy, but it's an easier pitch to say like, these are the things we do when it's like a real clear, you do these 2 things. If you're an agency owner that does full service SEO, how do you approach selling that? Should you think about like breaking it down, like in order to get part of their budget? Like, let's start with this one. I think what we call usually the foot in the door offer. How do you think about that for a full service agency?
Yeah, we've got plenty of clients who are full service agencies. And for us, it's quite a simple business model where we show them through relevant case studies of how much wage cost, productivity, and time we've saved if they're simply outsourced percentage or entire aspect of link building to us. Because mate, reaching out to millions of websites is just an absolute ball breaker. You need to qualify them, reach out, negotiate, all of that. We're the masters in that trade. We've already done it. So we've got a 1-pager, which we attach onto an email. And then once I'm dropping a voice note, I pick the 2 or 3 most important bullet points from that 1-pager, which I'll leave it there. Or sometimes even in the title, struggling with outreach wage costs? ? That's my title sometimes on an email. Okay. And then the email is no longer than 5 lines, which are just cherry picked from that 1-pager I've got. And then I swap or change based on which agency I'm talking to, instinctively, which point seems more relevant to me that would make more noise in Nick's head compared to Chris's head, which of course comes with a bit of experience judging someone's profile without having to speak to them. So yeah, these are primarily the 2 kind of pillar approaches I apply, where I get them interested. I let them test me, of course, the first couple of campaigns, or just the overspill. They might be doing 200 links a month, but they can't get 200 every month from their own outreach team. So maybe they're doing 137 internally and the rest 60 odd come from us. And if I've driven value and delivered links at a much faster pace and it's costing a lot less, so if the average link was £120 and once you know how big is the outreach team, take a ballpark figure of how much he or she must be paying them, you do the maths, stick it in a spreadsheet, say there you go, these are your end savings. Becomes a bit of a no-brainer. You're kind of doing the job for them. And the reason I do that quite a lot is, again, that point. A lot of SEO owners are not good businessmen. So sometimes it's me educating them, and I was like, oh, fuck's sake, yeah, I never thought of that this way.
Yeah, it makes total sense. All right, Steven, this has been really great. I think we've, a lot of the advice you gave, like, really contradicts a lot of the stuff I hear out there about outbound sales. I think a lot of that just has to do with outdated advice and people like continuously regurgitating the same stuff. So I think this has been a lot of great info. So thanks for coming on. For people who want to learn more about you and WhitePress, where can I send them?
So LinkedIn for sure. I'm very active with LinkedIn. But if they want to hear about WhitePress, then whitepress.com. The website, they can easily go in. If anyone wants spammy links, think of me.
Or any of the mini conferences you guys are putting on.
There you go, mate.
All right, thanks a lot, Steven.
Brilliant. Cheers, Nick. Lovely.